Kingibe is still placing Wike on tension bumper to bumper. In fact, sometimes Wike find it difficult to breathe in oxygen because of the tension Senator Kingibe is placing him on. It seems like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu knew that the Labour Party senator representing the good people of Abuja was a hard rock to crack. That was why he intentionally positioned Wike here to ensure that the woman was deflated ahead of 2027 general election.
And anyway, politics was not full-time for me. It was dual because I worked as an engineer, had a company, but I also, side by side, was continuing the politics. My introduction to politics was from the incumbent senator of this place. Which belies that women do not support women, they actually do. And I am also looking, she gave me her structures, she ensured that I got a ticket and I ran. And I assure you that that election went on for a year. I would never have been as successful as I was without her support. She was a giant standing behind me. When I get scared, I run to her. Oh, he says, don't forget him, he's a lightweight, there's nothing to be afraid of. I would solidly behind you, and that helped me to become the person, the politician that I am, to understand the FCT the way she understood it. You all live here. I'm sure most of you do not know your words because it's not a political thing for you. So, and now that I'm a senator, in the Senate, there are only 4 women out of 109 men. And every day, I assure you, is a battle. So you don't think that, oh, you've arrived. As a woman, you never arrive. But as I said, I'm a tenacious person. In the Senate, I don't run away from battles and fights. If it's necessary, I fight. Not physical fights, but you know what I mean. I will take you on. That's why I keep, people say, why are you fighting the minister? I don't know him, I've never met him before. I am fighting for the people of the Federal Capital Territory because they elected me to be their voice. So it's not that kind of battle, sure, but the fact that I refuse to be silenced.
Sure.
To begin with, I'm a civil engineer. So, and as I tell everybody, I'm 70 years old, so you can imagine when I went to university, there were not that many civil engineers. So I've always had to face this issue of, no, she must be in the wrong class. Oh no, she cannot be an engineer. I come from a family of a very, very liberal Muslim father and a Christian mother, and a family of mostly women. Oh, later in life, when we were all grown up, my father did have sons, but mostly it was women. And my father had a thing about, women were the children to have. Anytime he sees a pregnant woman, he'll say, Allah give you a daughter. So I never felt less than any man growing up. And I realized that self-esteem that I was given at home, it goes a long way to helping when you get outside there, where you get a lot of battling. So I studied and graduated as an engineer. I remember there was a colleague of mine. Let me just give you a small example. We hadn't started the real engineering courses, we were taking pre-engineering, and we were in geology. And in the geology class, it was a very big class, summer class, and there were only 3 black people, myself and 2 other men. So there was a day I was sick, and when I came back the next day, I wanted to find out what did the professor say. I chose one of the men to ask him. And you should have seen the look. They were so condescending. It's like, oh, we always knew she was not meant to be in this class. It so pained me that at the end of it all, fortunately, older teachers, usually they put your ID card and your grade, but all the teachers don't care, they just put your name and your grade. So I went to check, and I got a B plus, and they both got a C. So we continued. One of them ended up being in civil engineering with me. I had a scholarship, so all I did was study. He had 2 jobs as well as going to school. So he needed to depend on me for homeworks, labs, everything. So when we graduated, he said to me, you know, I would never have made it without you. I laughed. I said, don't you remember the first time we met? He said, no. I said, in geology, when you thought, oh, she has miswrote, this is not her real class. When I came back, I started working. NYSC wasn't too difficult because I did it in Lagos, and truthfully, I played through my NYSC. That's when I first met my husband. I was hardly ever there. But then when I started working, I worked for New Nigeria Construction Company in Kaduna, a subsidiary of the Northern Nigeria Development Company. And you should see the look. There were only 3 women in the company, myself and 2 secretaries. So sometimes I go to a site, I'm trying to tell the guy that I'm the new project engineer in this site. I said, don't speak to me, I don't talk to women, I don't talk to women. Can I give my credit? I said, okay. So I'll go back to the office and say, we need either a new mega or a new engineer. The mega doesn't talk to women. So I experienced so much when I go to a big site, because we built the teaching hospital in Shika. As soon as I come on the site, all the hammers stop, everything stops. It's like, what's she doing here? Then I start climbing up to inspect something. But it did have, I always pretended I didn't see it. Sometimes I'm amused. Other times I just, very rarely did I get upset by it. I remember once, my own guard, they just gave him to me. I had my own house in Kaduna. And I was building a house for this man, and he came to the house. I wasn't there. He left a message for me, or rather, my company was building it. So when the main guy came, he said to me, one of your customers came. I said, my customers? I don't understand. He said, madam, are you not a prostitute? You have to be living by yourself. I said, excuse me, you actually think that I'm a prostitute? He said, but you're not living with your mother and father now, you're living in your own house. And I thought, oh wow, interesting. So the shock on my face, he said, you're not? I said, no, I work for the company that employs you. So that had me really shocked, but most of the time I'm amused by it. I've also been the kind of person who, when you see a lapse in something, I say, this thing is bad. I don't say, now who's going to fix it? I tell you, let's go fix it. So when I was in university, Nigerian Students' Union in the University of Minnesota had a very large student population. And I always felt that we had terrible presidents of the association. So, but it was also mostly male. So I decided to run after criticizing, but I also did not believe that they would vote for me, because some of them tell me, Ireti, I have principles, I don't vote for women. So, but then to my shock, when the elections took place, they voted for me, and I was in a panic. It's like, oh, what am I going to do now? Because I had no plan beyond running. But the panic always makes, at least it made me, and I think it does that to a lot of women, makes you excel, and you tend to do more than the men, because everybody expects you to be less. When I was working for New Nigeria Construction Company, there's something they do every year where they go all over the country auditing the work and the sites that the company owns. Every engineer, architect is meant to do it, and we get a bonus. So at the end of it, I didn't get a bonus. So I went to meet the head of finance and said, how come you didn't give me a bonus? He goes, oh, madam, because you're a woman, I thought you wouldn't go. I said, but Oga, because I'm a woman, I went everywhere. In fact, chair, I was the secretary. Now, coming into politics, I've I never thought of elective office. When my husband was running, I was always in the background. There are times, but I've also been a person with strong opinions and a busybody, basically. I would say, somebody who does this, I won't vote for him. Or maybe they bring photographs for him to use as his presidential posters. And I look at all of them and I said, they all look too stiff. I don't think I'll vote for somebody whose poster looks like this. So every one they brought, I condemned until the very last minute. He needed to have a poster. So he just called me and he said, look, just give me any poster. I mean, my degree, they were doing option A4. So they had seen a photograph that somebody had taken of him. I didn't know who took the photograph, but as they gave him the photograph, he gave the picture to my sister. And it was quintessential him, the way you would see him on any day, always smiling. And I felt that that's the poster I would vote for. So I used that poster, I used that photograph to make a poster for him, which became the one that everybody knew because it had something. I've always been interested in who gets what, who's doing what. Even when he was chairman of SDP, my presidential candidate was not from his party because I didn't like most of the presidential candidates in his party. And he was liberal enough, and even the people in the parties were liberal enough to understand that just because he's my husband doesn't mean I have to accept the candidates of his party. They would come and see the poster of the person I felt should have been president, who was in NRC. His poster is on our gate, everything NRC for that person. And he said, Chairman, what's the NRC? I ran for 20 years, not because it was do or die, but because so much effort was being put to stop me. And when I say effort, I mean from all corners, even the people who are in the house with you that you expect will support you, still feel that, oh no, you know, it's going to subtract from everything. Every effort, even in primaries, that it's clear that I won, they will tell you, oh, he won by 1 vote. Of course he did not win. And I would accept it with the attitude that it's only 4 years, I'm coming back again. Now, that was the way it always was. And after, I think by the time we got to 2018, I saw FCT, because that was my yardstick, that's what I could see and judge. The whole country was deteriorating, but FCT more, and I watched it go downhill in 20 years. So I now thought, okay, look, what's the point? All the things that you're made to do, I've never been on a cruise, I've never gone to a spa, I've never done all the things women my age do. I'm in one village after another village talking and preaching. And so I thought, you know what? I have given this thing my best, and I also never give up just because it did not happen then. I'm a firm believer in what you have not achieved is what you have not achieved yet. Not that you will achieve it if you really want to. I believe in that. So, and also the politics, at least the way it was mostly men who followed me. And I was always confused that some men, those men who followed me, they would die for me. But when I call for a meeting, I would see only men. When I say, where are the women? You say, Hajia, you know how women are. I said, no, how are they? And they would do this. I said, but I'm a woman. One man actually told me, he said, no, Hajia, you're not. I said, but I am. And you follow me, you do anything. And yet every time I say women, your hands are up. And that is also a major problem in the politics. I feel that maybe somehow the men who support you convince themselves that you're not actually female. They must do, because if you say, oh, Gatanan, bring her here, it's war. No, she's a woman. So what do you mean she's a woman? Of course she's a woman, so am I. So fast forward to 2023. This time, unlike all the other times, I wasn't trying to irritate anybody. I had already decided that, you know what, this is a waste of time. There are other things I would rather do.
Honorable Minister, I commend your efforts so far and your boldness, but I also think that your priorities are not people-friendly. Number one, and also certain things. I was on the board of Abuja Investment, of which Abuja Mass Transit is a subsidiary. Those buses, we have done them before, and within a few years, by the time your tenure finishes, all those buses will be dead. In the last 6 years, it was worked on to concession Abuja Mass Transit. Back and forth, FCDA board sat on it. I don't remember the name of the company. They created a committee that recommended to the board to concession those buses. And those people, from what we gather, were going to put smart buses, and they were going to be using CNG. Now, I think that 3 billion could be better used some other way than putting them back in reviving those that, and truthfully, we assessed those buses and we were told just a fraction of them can actually be repaired. So you would actually need to buy fresh buses, which it doesn't make sense to do, to buy petrol buses or diesel buses at this point in time. That's one of my observations. Now, the other one, I want to go to the construction of the Millennium and Cultural Center. Sir, I understand that it's a laudable project if we had the money. But I think that right now, where we are in this country in terms of where the people are, they need more intervention. When these projects are seen being built, it just does not sit well with them because they don't benefit from it. They just see it as things we, the elites, do for our own self-aggrandizement or satisfaction or whatever. I really feel the budget, finishing all those other roads, I commend you, but those two projects, the cultural center and rehabilitation of the buses, I would like you to do a rethink on them.
Thank you. What is their own priority?
Security, yes.
Government determines what's priority. We did not award this job. We cannot allow projects awarded by government to be abandoned. That's a waste of funds itself. You mean we started the project, spent about 40 billion, and then we'll abandon the project? That is not a priority. Cultural center for tourism, for even our own children to go and see. Most of us will travel overseas and go to the museum, cultural center. Oh, look at how this is, look at what this is. I think that is a priority for this country. It is a priority. And it's a revenue source for the country. It's a revenue source for the country. I do not, with all due respect, I do not agree that this is not a priority. If we can spend, if we will go and spend 40 billion naira starting a project, then midway, we come back to abandon that it's not a priority. That is not correct. It's not only rich people that will go and visit those areas. It's not correct. You take school children to go and see the area. Some of them will tell their parents, we want to go there and see this and look at this. And anything that will create money for government cannot be something that is not a priority. Two, you talk about buses. I want to also inform. See, government has a responsibility. If you want us first to say concession, people ask, yes, you can do concession, or you can allow PPP, have an arrangement of PPP. But before that, what have you done? The mere fact that there was an administration that you failed yesterday does not mean that this one we are in charge will fail. I have that capacity that it will work. If I another person comes, doesn't work, it's the person's business. When I was there, it worked. What you're talking about, Abuja investment, do you know the amount of litigation we have on all those concessions and the rest of it? Fine. It is not an easy thing. It's not. We are going to arrangement with PPP, but before that arrangement is put in place, government must also do something. At least to reduce the level of suffering. If we bring those buses and they apply to Gwagwalada, Yaya, who are the people living in Gwagwalada, Yaya? It's not the masses. I don't like being theoretical. I want to be practical. We are not doing this that it will be sustainable. We are going to enter a private agreement with people who will probably run it as a business. But at the interim level, you have to do something. We say we are going to remove Keke Napep, those, what do you call it, Asokora and the rest of them. How do you remove them when there's no other alternative? You must provide alternative first, then you now move them out. All we are providing cannot be enough, but we must do something before the private-public partnership succeeds. It's not an easy thing. How many people, before even the private people come, most of them look at the profit. Nobody will come and run it if it's not going to make enough money. There are people who have reason to learn about CNG, this and that. We're going to enter into all those things. But for now, you are entering to the Christmas period. What will happen? So what are these considerations? So I think that for now, all we are doing, we think that it's for the interest of the residents. And with all due respect, when people talk of the common people, if there are no roads here, how will the common people go to school? How do you drive to school when there are no roads?
What schools, sir? Have you seen their schools?
No, we are coming. Sorry, we don't just see. Madam, everything cannot be taken at the same time. Now we have also taken schools. In the national budget, it will provide 5 billion. What we have done now was to select about 20-30 schools to renovate and put it in. When I read Punch and saw the students, people were sitting on the floor. It was, how many months have I stayed in the office? 3 months. 3 months. 3 months. So, everything cannot be done just this supplementary budget to achieve something by May 29. Watch our 2024 budget. Look at the funding in education. Look at the funding in health and security. Then you begin to know, really, we are thinking about the people. But what can we achieve now is what we are talking about. From now to so time, what we want to achieve. That's what we came for.
Despite the rascality of Wike, despite the Selena tested capacity Wike, Kingibe is not giving up. Kingibe is still placing Wike on tension bumper to bumper. In fact, sometimes Wike find it difficult to breathe in oxygen because of the tension Senator Kingibe is placing him on. Look, Kingibe is letting Wike know that she will stand firm to fight for his people and he cannot be silenced. Say there's nothing that will happen whoever will not fall. Despite Wike's rascality, this woman is standing firm. Recall that they have been having this issue long time ago. Several occasions they have thrown jabs on themselves. And I thought after the last jab they threw at themselves, they are settled out of our sin without us knowing. Not knowing that they are still maintaining their ground. This woman. So you balance, so you just say you know be odogu.